Welcome back to Sharp Education. We're going to get into some cool stuff. We're going to get into Sharp extracurriculars, and we're going to get into internships, what we like to call Sharpternships. This module slash video is going to cover how to get what are the best extracurriculars and internships and how to get them. Now, again, remember the Trigon framework below. This stuff is our bread and butter. We're always going to make sure everything we do solidifies everything in the Trigon framework, right? So agenda for this video, we're going to go over extracurriculars, we're going to go over courses and projects, and we're going to go over applying to internships, right? So by now, because of the previous videos, you understood the Trigon framework. So you understand your brand's niche, you started building your personal brand, and you started getting traction through interviewing more and more guests, right? Now, you should also have more knowledge and insight about the niche you chose than when you started, because you are learning more and more through each interview. Now, this module is going to stray away from the professional, career-oriented guidance and focus more on collegiate guidance regarding activities you will add in your future application, especially extracurriculars and internships. Now, regarding extracurriculars, there are only two extracurriculars that you should be doing apart from your brand's concept platform and things like internships and research and stuff like that, right? Now, one, you need to be doing extracurriculars that support your brand. Two, you need to do extracurriculars that you find interesting and fun, period. That's it. So no more clubs, no more organizations, no more summer programs that quote unquote look good or were recommended to you by somebody else because of the excuse colleges like them. Stick to the Trigon framework. We are emphasizing this point heavily because if we stick to the Trigon framework, it works. Now remember, everybody else will do stuff will be doing stuff that quote unquote look good. We don't care how good you look to a university. We care about how different you look compared to all the other applicants. Now, extracurriculars don't exist primarily to impress universities with your achievements, because in the end, you are a high school teenager. There is a low chance you are going to do anything to a world-class level. And a little background information, we doubt that is what they're expecting. Although if you can do something to a world-class level, that's pretty cool, right? But what they really desire is a sense of direction and progress for who you want to become in the future, right? And what people tend to forget along the way is that it's never a linear path towards your goal. Usually the path involves failure and pivots along the way, right? So that means you can't fully plan out how you'll exactly reach your professional goals 10 years out of graduation, because you just don't know. If you just don't know it, how to get there until you made it, because on top of that, everybody's story is different, right? Now, assuming that everyone's story is different, what is the incentive for a top school to accept you? And the incentive is they need you to achieve big goals. Straight up. Now, let's be clear. Not everyone gets closer towards their big goals. They do things that are like this saying things like, oh, I am capable of getting to a big goal because I did this other thing, not this thing directly related to the goal. You know what I mean? So being president of high school is not a big goal achieved. Being founder of a popular club on campus is not a big goal achieved. And being a D1 athlete recruit is not a big goal achieved. Why? Because big goals take decades to achieve, no matter how talented somebody is. It took decades for Michael Jordan to become the top player in the NBA. It took decades for Elon Musk to gain the skills from his internship, from his education, all those skills before he started his first company, Zip2. And even for a prodigy like Eileen Gu, who's a 20-year-old Olympic skier, it took over a decade for her to hone in her skills. So to get to the big stuff we're trying to get towards, we need time. Then this could be decades, but obviously you don't have decades to prove yourself before you apply to college. But that is fine, because as long as if you are moving towards the direction of greatness, you're in the green zone. Now, that means working towards big, great goals, not small-time local stuff like being president of your high school class. There are so many presidents of high school applying to university already. So many. Just like how there are tens of thousands of high schools, each of those high schools has valedictorians. Each of those high schools has a president of the student body, all this yada, yada, yada. Now, building goals, the goals on the level I want students to watch include building a massive, positively impactful company, maybe something like building a chain of hospitals in a country affected by poverty, maybe revolutionizing taboo industries by being an example of a clean, positive organization amongst taboo companies in the space. Now, obviously, I don't expect you to achieve goals like this in high school. Maybe not even in college or a couple years out of college, but at least I hope you are working towards big goals like them, and so do their colleges. Why? Because alumni at the best universities are big thinking people. Alumni at those big universities are big thinking people. Think of Stanford. You go to Stanford, you hit up an alumni, and then you tell the alumni, hey, can you help me get a software engineering job? Bro, what are you doing? Why are you at Stanford? You kind of get where I'm coming from. So moving back, coming back, how does this all relate to extracurriculars and internships? Right now, the ones you should decide to do should be somewhat tied towards helping you achieve those big goals in the future, especially in the form of learning the required skills. Now, learning can, in this case, come in, I said 3, but in this case, it's 4 forms. Now, it can be relationships that help you learn their skills. Now, you should already be getting this with branding, with building out your content platform through the blog, to the podcast, or however you're doing it, right? That's the first thing, relationships, where you can learn from people that are ahead of you. Second thing, education. Education like programs, courses, and classes, right? 3, projects, where you learn while you're building out the projects, right? While you're doing those projects. And 4th, internships or jobs where you learn on the job. You have a manager or a mentor helping you while you're on the job, right? Now, ideally, you want a combination of these on your profile before you apply to college. But beware, these take time to do. It is not the best idea to wait till senior year doing these. Don't wait. Besides, the earlier you start, so start today on this, the earlier you start, the better experience you can potentially build by the time application season rolls around. Because say you get one internship, instead of just focusing on getting an internship your junior year, now you can, if you're ahead of that, you can get experience your sophomore year, so the internship you would get your junior year would be better than what you would have already gotten. You know what I mean? Because experience builds experience and helps you get more experience, helps you get more opportunities and a higher level of just capability and skills, right? Now, moving on to courses and projects. So you want to go to an amazing university, meaning your education matters to you at some level. So do us a favor, do yourself a favor, start investing in that education now. The way you can do this is you can take courses for the purpose of getting credit to graduate early from college. Or you could take courses to learn skills relevant to your brand and the big goals you want to achieve, right? There are a couple options for this. You can do community college courses, you can do summer programs at universities, or you can do programs by like third-party private companies like Preppery or Empowerly, right? Now, a couple things I want to talk about. Through our years of advising, we found out that admissions officers generally don't care about where you take the courses as long as if you take the good ones, right? So we personally prefer community college courses, right? Even though you might think taking a course at an actual university might prove you can get levels at that, right? But first of all, the community college courses are cheaper. That's a side thing. They're cheaper, but they are also higher quality because you get more personal time with the professor, and because community college courses in general are easier, and especially with online classes, you can stack multiple at once. With university classes, especially in person, you're limited to how much time you have, and you don't have that much time in the day to go to class in person and study and stuff like that, right? Thanks to online classes and Mr. GPT, you can now stack all these classes multiple at once while getting great grades in those classes, right? So we prefer community college courses. We prefer stacking them. Now another thing is, I want to talk about this super quick. Programs like Preppery, like Empowerly, that say, hey, AI bootcamp, hey, ML, like business, like to help do this project in business, you're gonna pay us to learn to do this bootcamp, and doing this bootcamp is gonna help your child stand out in college. Like, don't do that. Don't do that stuff. Like, especially companies like these, especially third-party companies that say, hey, this summer program that you have to pay us in order, and you will stand out by just paying us. No, stop. Unless if it's an actual university or a summer program at an actual university or an actual internship, or just don't do stuff like this, please. Just it's a cash grab. It's a scam. Don't do it. Don't do it. The universities themselves can see through it as well. They can tell you're just paying to play. You know what I mean? Just stop. Just stop. So assuming you agree with us too and go towards community college courses, right? To find the right classes you take at your community college, first you need to define the university you want to go to first, right? Whether it be Harvard, USC, or UC Berkeley. And then after you define those colleges, what you want to do is call their admissions offices. If you go search up like UC Berkeley admissions office, UC Berkeley business school admissions office, or USC admissions office, you will be able to find their number for their admissions office. So call them during office hours. Say, I am a student at X high school. I want to attend your university, and I want to take classes at, say, whatever community college while I'm in high school, and ask, what classes would you recommend me to take? They would probably ask follow-up questions like, what do you plan to major in? Why do you want to take community classes and stuff, community college courses and stuff like that, yada, yada, yada. But the point of you calling them is to get resources that show transfer students, not high school students, transfer students, the coursework that would be accepted from the community colleges that transfer students attend. Why? Because in the end, transfer students, what are they? They need to take the coursework that actually gets accepted by the university they want to transfer to. You know what I mean? So the universities themselves have resources to tell you which are the exact courses that your local community college has that would transfer, and they would have for different community college classes. They cross-check all the course codes and everything. For example, USC has something called the USC Articulation Agreement. This is an example. UCs have something called the I Get C. Still cross-check, call them, ask for help, say, hey, what classes should I take? You can also take GE courses as well. That can help you get way ahead when you actually are in university as well. But the reps at the admissions offices can help you understand how to use these resources as well. If, for example, if the articulation agreement looks complicated, you can just call them and ask, hey, how do I navigate this? Can you explain how this works? But community college courses, they're so good. Please, and take ones that transfer. Take ones that transfer to the university you want to go to. Show the intention that you want to transfer there. Now, the other thing is, we don't just want you to take courses. We want you to do them in tandem with a project or an internship. So think of this scenario. Imagine you're taking a computer science class, but you're also working on this coding project on the side. Now, you bring what you're working on, what you're learning through this project you're doing onto the side, to the professor's office hours, and you show your progress, you ask questions. Now, by doing that, imagine how much more of an interesting student you will look to that professor. And imagine, because of that, the recommendation letter the professor is now going to write for you, a college professor, because you stand out from all the other students. Plus, the whole premise is you're comparing yourself to a student. Like, instead of being student A, who's only doing the classwork, assignments, and exams, you want to be student B, who is doing the classwork, assignments, and exams, but is also doing their own projects and additional self-study for their projects. Student A is never going to catch up to student B because student B is just doing much more volume, right? And because of that, if you can show that to the professor, imagine the recommendation letter that they're going to write for you because you stand out from everybody else. And now you're more personal with the professor. Now the professor can have the opportunity to be a little more passionate, to share a little bit more insight into their coding and to help you with your coding projects as well. Because whatever course they're teaching, they're probably passionate about. Sometimes they might feel a little bit rigid because they're just teaching things through the syllabus and stuff like that. Now you've given them the opportunity to kind of explore their actual passion and have a little bit of fun because you're bringing something else, which is valuable. You doing something else on the side and bringing it to your professor is valuable to the professor, and you will stand out and you will have a crazy recommendation letter from them ideally. You know what I mean? So, and because you're doing more on the side, your own growth and learning is now on hyperspeed. And learning at hyperspeed is fun. Do not believe anybody that tells you learning at hyperspeed is not fun. Learning at hyperspeed is fun. Now, if we get into projects, examples can include, for example, a software you build through code, especially with ChatGPT. It's much easier nowadays. But another one is free consulting to small businesses or companies. Now, for example, if your brand is in marketing and you can approach them saying you can do market research for them, or you can help build their social media. You can curate some social media content for them up front. You could also pitch a product idea for them. You can create a written documentation saying recommendations for a product they should launch, not just giving them a one sentence. Create like a whole draft, a brief. Or another thing is you can write a research report or a publication on a topic you're interested about that is related to your brand. You know what I mean? Now, these things, none of these things have to be fancy. Now, your software or research report can be published on your blog or LinkedIn when it's done. No one's asking you to put them up in Harvard Business Review. And you're not good enough to put them in Harvard Business Review because you were in high school. You know what I mean? So, another thing, but I love this stuff. I love doing free consulting to small businesses or companies because if you're doing small business consulting, you have the opportunity to do the work up front before they even ask for before they even give you permission or something of the sort. Like, for example, take a look at one of our students, Aditi, one of our previous students. You might know Aditi. She made this marketing report for she made this internship report. It was about marketing. It was just pitching marketing ideas to a company, an M&A advisory firm that she was doing an internship for, right? This stuff, she put a good amount of work into it, and then she probably made it pretty using Canva and stuff like that. So this is the thing she did, right? But the thing is, she didn't. I want to touch on something. She didn't need a lot of mentorship from other people to do this. All she really needed to create this report was basic research of the company, industry, and competitors, and using a tool like Canva to make the report look visually appealing and professional, right? So after seeing what she did, what this gave me the idea is what you can do is similar projects and reports, right? But you can send them to companies up front, ideally ones with like smaller teams, maybe still trying to figure out exactly what the team size should be, but not Google size or something of the sort, not like a public company, you know what I mean? Something a little bit smaller, maybe 100 employees, 200 employees, something like that, right? Maybe even smaller than that as well, as they're easier to get your foot in the door, especially when you're not interning for them or working for them, right? And a potential email could be, imagine you send them to multiple people at the company, you email them saying, hello, employee's name, my name is, and I am a student at this high school. I am inspired by the work your team does at X company because of, and then you put 3 reasons why you're inspired. I made this, and then you say what is it exactly you did, whether it's a marketing report, whether it's like a strategy report, something of the sort, right? Whether it exactly is, whether it's like a website design you created for them, whether it's a folder of content they could post on social media. And then after you say, I made X, and then you say, what is the benefit of using your project? For example, if you say a marketing report, you can say, I made this marketing report that could give you ideas for how to generate more revenue for your company, how to enter new markets. For example, if you create a social media team thing, I created this content library of social media which you can use to post on your social media profiles to get more organic reach. Or I made this website design for you so you can get more, so customers could navigate your website easier than it already is, and you will look more visually appealing to your customers or something like that. Have a benefit, right? And then you say, thank you for the opportunity, and then you don't ask for anything. You don't ask for anything, you just give it. You just give it, right? You might think to yourself, why should I do work for a company that I don't know, or a company I don't have an internship or a role yet, right? Because nobody nowadays gives first. everyone starts the job after they get an offer letter from the company they want to work for. And frankly, nobody really shows the commitment, hustle, or skill up front because, frankly, many people are lazy to do so. Many people have like an ego, think, oh, I deserve a role first. I need to get a role locked in first. I need to get paid first, then I'll do the work or something like that. No, stop. Just give first. Give first. Establish a relationship just by giving first and assuming the person you do work up front for has some basic morals, ethics, and values. You will stand that crap out. You will stand the F out, right? You will stand out so positively among everybody else. And worst case, you do this. Worst case, they don't respond to the report or the project you worked hard to build, right? Let me type in project. Worst case, they don't respond to the thing you build, took time, you worked hard on, right? But you can add this to your portfolio, which can be attached to your college applications and your resume for the future. So it's not like it goes to nothing, right? Other people in the future can kind of use this as an example to see what's the type of things you can do, right? But best case, they are impressed that you show commitment, interest, and skill as a high school student, and they give you an internship or a role with the company, right? Now, if you do this with 30 companies that kind of fit the criteria, so like smaller companies, right? I would be genuinely surprised if you get 0 opportunities in the form of additional support, internships, or other ways. You know what I mean? Like, I would be so surprised if you put work up front for them, good work too. Stuff like, for example, if you were in marketing and you made 30 of these for different companies, especially with ChatGPT, it's much easier, but make sure you review the work. You don't want to just send garbage from ChatGPT. You know what I mean? Make sure you review the stuff. And over like a span of 3-4 months, if you send to 30 different companies, I would be very surprised if you don't get any opportunities to help you. You know what I mean? In like additional support, internships, or other things, right? And plus, if you do this with 30 companies, and then imagine how padded your portfolio is going to be. Imagine how padded it's going to be. A college admissions officer clicks on your portfolio on your application. Now they see just a ton of work, right? But still, something genuinely went wrong. I would expect you only need 4. You need to only do this for 4 companies. Email this report to 5-10 employees each. And I would maybe even 3 companies or something of the sort, right? Like, but ideally aim for 30. Be a little bit pessimistic about this. Try to aim for big. Try to do as much as you could. You know what I mean? But if you do this, say, with 30 companies, I would be so surprised if this leads 0 results for you, especially in a world where nobody gives first. So just do it. Put your ego down. Put the work up front, and just give. Just give. Now, I want to talk about same thing with internships. I want to talk about applying for a second. Now, I did bait you a little bit, as for the record, we don't recommend applying to internships, period. Like, we don't recommend going through the application process for internships. We recommend doing all the giving stuff up here. This is what we recommend to do. Now, why? There are hundreds of people applying to the same internships as you. It is an unrealistic expectation that the employer would actually give you the proper time to read the application. Because they have so many to review. By the time before they even get to yours, they might even have found an ideal candidate. They say, oh, this person looks good. Let's roll with it. 700 more applications. I have no more time to read for this. Neither would you. You know what I mean? The second reason is you're a student in high school where there are undergraduate and postgraduate students applying to the same internships as well. Realistically, you will not appear as qualified as them, right? Now, the third thing, usually companies want interns that can develop talent in the future, right? They don't expect students to have skills at a young age, which is why it's standard for companies to prefer students to intern in the summer between the 3rd and 4th years of college, which would make it easy for them to transition the intern quickly into a full-time role. So like summer after your junior year of college is where you would get the internship. Most likely, that's when companies would prefer to bring interns in, because right the year after you graduated college, they can just bring you right in again because you're primed. Because the internship itself was kind of like a training, and now you're just ready to go, right? So but that being said, that assumes you don't give first. That assumes you don't give first. If you're just applying to internships and stuff like that, you're not actually giving any value to them. Everybody else is doing that stuff. Doing stuff like, I think my camera froze. Doing stuff like just applying, just submitting buttons, just clicking on buttons. You know what I mean? Let me turn off my camera for a second. This is whack. Let's see. Is it working? I guess my thing is not working anymore. Whatever. But again, we prefer you give first. Not only is it more effective, but other students don't do it. Again, probably because of ego. Maybe the feeling of like the world owes me an internship, blah, 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 whatever. But here's the thing. If you give first, you will move up faster in your career than someone who relies on spamming applications and just does what they're told, whether it's by their employer, or others in society, right? If you build that habit of giving first, man, you will move up in the ranks real fast. And even if it's not the ranks, you will build a solid network real fast. So do yourself the favor, save time and frustration from just getting rejected from a bunch of internships, and please focus on giving first to as many people or companies as you can. Someone will notice you and reciprocate. I promise. Maybe you might get something better than an internship. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. That's a genuine possibility. You know what I mean? So please focus on giving first. Now, to recap this, we talked about extracurriculars, we talked about courses and projects, and we talked about applying to internships, as in don't apply to internships. Thank you for watching this. I'll see you in the next one, okay?